Good evening and welcome to the September 12th, 2002 meeting of the Human Rights Commission, the first televised meeting of this session. Commissioner McCullough, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Stand and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like the commissioners to join me in a moment of silence at this time in remembrance of the events of last year. Thank you. Commissioner Bowens, will you please read the mission statement for us?
Yes. The mission of the Human Rights Commission of Palm Springs is to promote, improve human relations, civics, peace, intergroup understanding, and full acceptance, respect, and participation of all persons in all aspects of the community's life, so that we will be equal in the eyes of each other.
Thank you very much. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Janis, Commissioner Boyd,
Here.
Commissioner Yo, absent, Commissioner Bowens,
Present.
Commissioner Feingold,
Here.
Commissioner Zelnus,
Here.
Commissioner Kaufman,
Here.
Commissioner Aguano,
Here.
and Commissioner McCullough.
Present.
I believe that both Commissioner Janis and Commissioner Yo called and expressed their inability to be here tonight, and please grant them an excused absence. Has the agenda been posted according to the Brown Act?
Yes, the agenda was posted in accordance with the Brown Act.
We have two sets of minutes to look at tonight, our July 11th meeting minutes and our retreat meeting minutes of July 20th. If there are any changes or additions to those, we'll take each one separately, but I'll let you all know that if there are any changes, especially to the July 20th, go right ahead. I have no problem with doing that. Taking minutes is not my forte. So take a look at the July 11th meeting minutes if you have them in front of you. I don't know, Sly, do you not have a copy?
I didn't get a packet
Here, do you want
this week,
to look?
but I think I have the old July minutes that I looked at.
Are there any changes or amendments to the minutes of July 11th? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Feingold and seconded by Commissioner Bowens. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's passed. Now let's turn to the retreat minutes of Saturday, July 20th. Those are before you, and I hope that you've had a chance to look at those. Sly, did you receive those at all?
I
Oh,
had those
okay,
for
good.
a month or so.
Good. Good. I know that there was a problem with the mailing due to our person who does our mailing for staff being out, so. Are there any additions or changes?
On the meeting schedule,
Yes.
January 11th, I think, is the 9th, and January 25th is the 23rd. I think you were looking at the 2002
Right.
calendar.
Those have been changed. You should, I hope, have a revised meeting schedule sent to you, I
Okay.
hope. So,
Good.
just, yeah, Rick Lee brought that to my attention as soon as he saw that. I'm not sure exactly what I was looking at when that came up, because I looked at it again, I couldn't figure out what it was, so. I'll blame it on the Palm Pilot. It didn't go ahead or backwards the way it was supposed to. Are there any other comments regarding the minutes of July 20th? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Zelnus and seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are passed. Public comments, not seeing anyone from the public here. I guess we can move right along. We do not have a public speaker tonight. We had hoped to have the chief of police, but we have a long agenda, and he has a lot of extra duties right now, so we're going to await his being able to be with us. We turn now to the reports of the commission. As you note on the agenda, I'm not down having a report, and that's probably true because I have been out of town, just returned from visiting my mother in Oregon. I did give you some flyers I want to bring to your attention, just some events coming up. From the county of Riverside, this Saturday, the 14th, they're having a forum 1 year later, thinking globally, acting locally, and looking forward together as a community. The California Attorney General, Bill Lockyer, will be the guest speaker. And I don't know whether anyone is going to be available to attend. I hope to be able to make it, but I wanted to make sure you're all aware of that. The second page is an announcement from the Southern California Mediation Association, which you may recall we joined last year. They're having the Desert Roundtable meeting on September the 18th, which is next Wednesday, I believe, at 5:15 at the New Palm Desert campus of California State University, and I hope to attend, and I will make sure that Commissioner Janis, our Mediation Committee Chair, is informed of that. Third page, the Western Inland Empire Coalition Against Hate will be meeting on September the 24th. Very, very important group for us to be a part of. We work closely with them, and I hope that our new chair of the Hate Crime Commission will be able to be there, and hopefully we can go together if you want to go. Oh, again, the
That's
night
another
of-
popular night, yeah.
September 24th, a very popular night. I don't think that event
But I
is-
will get in touch with them.
that event is not going to be held. So, and then there's an article from the Washington Post that was emailed to me that I have copied for your information. That is all that I have, other than what I find very interesting every time I go out of town is that no matter what city you go to, the issues remain the same. And that one of the issues very hot in Portland, Oregon, was the fact that the city there needs to become business friendly. And so I copied that article for you, for your information. No matter what size the city, whether it's a city the size of Portland, Oregon, Palm Springs, or my hometown of Barlow, 110 people, issues remain the same. So I'd like to bring that to people's attention. Mr. Vice Chair, do you have a report?
Well, I would like to just report that, since it's our first meeting back, that as chair of the Hate Crimes Task Force, we do have a date. We're going to meet on September the 24th at 6 o'clock, room 101C at the Police Training Center. And this is open to the public. And Dorothy, hopefully you'll be able to join us. Chuck, you'll be there. And we're expecting a fairly large crowd. We want to discuss perhaps putting a forum on in the spring through the Human Rights Commission, maybe about hate speak. And we're also going to discuss, Robert Farrell's going to be there to discuss having a dinner in memory of Matthew Shepard, a fundraising event that was put off from last year. So that's September 24th, a Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock, room 101C. And everyone's invited. The more people that come, the better it'll be. And the only other thing with hate crimes is I emailed, I hope you got it since my computer died, but in the LA Times the other day was LA County reported hate crimes are up 11% since 9/11. And most of them are against Middle Eastern people. So there's a big spike in it, but I think hate crimes is going to be a big issue this year. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. And you're having the Hate Crimes Task Force is meeting the same day every month?
Every fourth Tuesday
Okay.
at the Police Training Center, 6 o'clock.
Great. I hope everyone who's interested will come to that meeting. The Mediation Committee Chair, Jim Janis, is not here. Community Relations Chair, Sly Zelnes, you have a report.
Yes. In front of you, in fact, is a memo to the commission regarding the Community Relations Committee definition. When we left the retreat, we talked about defining or redefining our roles, objectives, perspectives of the reconfigured committees. Bill and Dorothy and I, the Community Relations Committee, met last month and developed some concepts or some directions that we'd like to see the commission through the Community Relations Committee go. The main issue was community visibility, really looking to how we can become more visible in the community. How do we let people know who we are, what we do, where they can go for information or resources? A number of particular elements came up in that discussion, I think none of which are necessarily new to this group, but perhaps new in a consolidated way. The first was Village Fest, establishing a presence at the city booth for Village Fest, having Human Rights Commission volunteers staff the first and third Thursdays, given second and fourth are typically our own meetings. Collect and make available brochures from other community organizations, not just our Human Rights Commission brochures, but other resources in the community that people may be interested in tapping into who don't already have a presence at Village Fest. And also asking other community organizations to represent themselves as well as the Human Rights Commission on those second and fourth Thursdays. Another item of fairly foundational type of issue is the development or updating of some of our current brochures and other materials. At least to my knowledge, or I haven't seen one anyway, we don't have a general information brochure about the Human Rights Commission that gives our mission statement. I mean, we have the sheet with the mission statement, our objectives, but something that perhaps goes into some more detail, what times we meet, where we meet, the aspect of our being televised and having a repeat performance between our actual meetings, general information that can be, useful for people who may not know us at all or don't know when we meet or how they might contact us. We do have our discrimination complaint form, which we have talked about perhaps being not as user-friendly as it might be. So updating that form and perhaps including with it or in addition to it a form for a request for mediation. There may not be a discrimination issue, but something that someone thinks we might be able to help through our mediation program. Also a mediation brochure, and this is something I know we've talked about for a couple of years, specifically describing the program and even perhaps how it might interrelate with the Dispute Resolution Center of Riverside County across the street. And looking again at the hate crimes flyer, I mean, it's still a relatively new document and probably still works very well, and considering we've got a couple of thousand of them, it probably is a good thing. But keeping in mind that whatever information we have can be shared at Village Fest as well as other events, and just making sure they're up to date and kind of keeping our eyes on what may need to get changed over time. Media relations is an ongoing issue, not just press releases, but also articles that I would like to invite all of the commissioners to prepare for media distribution on events that may come up in your neighborhood, your church, your school, whatever it might be, that we can put out to the media. Also appearances on radio or TV talk shows, community programming, as we did with the May 6th community dialogue. Lee was very effective in getting us plugged into various radio and TV commentaries. 6:30 in the morning was not my favorite one, but still, that was not Lee's fault when that show was on. But in addition to promoting our events and activities, it's just that basic visibility, being in front of people's faces so they are reminded that we're here and what kinds of things we do. And of course, as always, letters to the editor as individuals, as opposed to identifying ourselves or representing ourselves as speaking for the commission or the city. But still, there's a lot we can do as individuals and letters to the editors to promote the commission and the concepts that we espouse generally. Another issue that we had talked about before is off-site meetings, holding either our business meetings and/or forums at other locations, the senior center, Desert Highland Community Center, perhaps the schools around town, and checking into the possibility of Rick and his crew being able to do remote videotaping. Now, we may want to do some meetings and just acknowledge that we're not going to be videotaped, and then probably not doing forums off-site because of the historical value of that video, I guess. But there may be some opportunities for Rick and his crew to video us out of this location without too much hassle. Rick is probably listening, shaking his head in the other room. And finally, in terms of that visibility piece, is really just being observant, all of us as individuals, as we go about our daily lives, looking at issues or events where our attention or intervention or involvement in some way may be useful or beneficial to that group, individual, community, the commission itself. And looking at media stories where our commentary may be appropriate and may be useful, and taking advantage of things that are going on around us to speak to those things from a human rights perspective. One thing we touched on when Dorothy and Bill and I met last month was looking at collaboration with other groups. Beyond the Human Rights Commission, Library Board collaboration on the One Book, One Palm Springs program, there are lots of community organizations within Palm Springs and across the valley and beyond, for that matter, dealing with human rights issues or concerns. And there may be opportunities for us to look at how we can get a bigger bang for the buck, so to speak, by collaborating rather than duplicating efforts, how we might gather strength in numbers if we were to do some collaboration, for example, with the Hemet Human Rights or Human Relations Council, as well as some of the other local groups right here in Palm Springs. You know, we've got PFLAG, the Gay Vets, Desert AIDS, all the community groups, Riverside County Services. How can we really get more value out of our individual efforts by looking at collective ways to do that? So at this point, the suggestion is really just to be thinking about a discussion at some point in the future of the who, how, where, when ideas that we might pursue in this coming year, or this year that we're now into, in order to further our collective efforts and interests. So that was really the essence of our meeting, and we had a good lunch besides.
We did, we really did. Good lunch.
So we welcome and ask for discussion, comment, input. This is certainly not anything cast in concrete. I don't think any of the three of us are, excuse me, necessarily invested in what's on this page, but really looking at, you know, how we as a group can.
This is an excellent
Go for
report.
it.
Are there specific action items that you would like to have placed on the agenda for our meeting on the 28th? Since they're not on the agenda per se tonight, we cannot discuss
Right,
them.
right.
But if you would make sure that we know which items you would like to have discussed at our meeting on September the 28th, I think that's very, very good. A number of these items I look forward to tremendously, and especially working with improving our mediation work and our outreach to the community, and being able to pay direct attention to stories of appropriate, immediate concern.
Mhm.
So,
We do. Okay, we'll make sure that we've got specific items on the agenda so we can actually move forward.
very good. Anything further from the Community Relations Committee?
Excuse me, please, Chairperson. This is not open for discussion
No.
at this, but, okay.
No, no.
So, okay.
We can only hear, at this point, we receive reports from individual commissioners and commission chairs of different committees, but unless it's specific on the agenda for discussion and or vote, we don't go into full discussion. That's why I'm asking for the items that you really want us to go into, so we can make sure that we don't lose sight of any of them and that we address them as soon as possible. And for that reason, I'm very glad that we have a business meeting coming up the end of September also, because then we can work on it immediately. Thank you very much.
Could
Very,
we,
very
could we
good
have
report.
questions? Or that even questions are precluded at this point?
Okay. Staff said
If
we can
there are
have
no
questions, so we
questions.
can have questions.
I have a question. The library, I missed, I think, one meeting last year, and that was one of our forums, and I went to the library thinking I was gonna be able to get a copy of a tape, and the tapes are like 2 or 3 years old, I think, that they have there.
Which one are
The
you
Palm
referring
Springs
to?
Library.
Right, which?
Their
for-
video, for our first, I forget which forum it was now. I think it was the second, no, I went to the Second Amendment. Like, it was one of the Constitutional Bill of Rights forums. But I went there to get and they said, okay, it's over there. And I went and looked in that section, and all the tapes were very old. So either they're not there at the library, or I was directed in the wrong place. But there were some Human Rights Commission tapes, but they were from 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
I'll have to check on that because I've taken them over personally.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, mine's.
They're somewhere.
So either they're not there on the shelves, or they're separate from the ones from 1998 or something.
And if there's one in particular, perhaps Rick will be kind enough
Oh, he's
to let-
always great with that.
to let
Yeah.
you borrow one. But I will check on that to make sure they are current, because they should be there current. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any other questions?
Yes, I'd like to comment and then make an inquiry. As to different locations, various locations around our community to get further exposure to our endeavors, and will that more or less be brought up for discussion as to locations and future involvement with the communities? In other words, where we could further discuss ongoing efforts of community relations? Are these to be held at other locations other than where we are this evening?
I think that would be one of the first things to go on our agenda at the next meeting.
Will it be clarified more or less at the 28th?
Well, we'll
September.
open it up for
Right,
discussion.
Right, we can't discuss it tonight, but yeah.
These were just
Right.
things that came to our minds offhand,
Okay,
you know, that
okay.
were easy to identify, but
Right.
there's certainly room for.
Take the show on the road.
On the 28th, that will be one of the action items for discussion.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you bet.
Hearing that clearly. And again, especially for the new commissioners, if there are any items that you want to have placed on the agenda, please let me know, or let the vice chair know, or let our staff know. There's no secret way about getting something on the agenda. If you have something you want on the agenda, tell us, we'll put it on the agenda. Nothing is screened, okay? Well, some things probably are, but basically, everyone on the commission has a full right to bring things to our attention.
I think our next meeting is September 26th. You keep saying the 28th. Am I finding something wrong? It's the 26th.
Dean's still in 2001 now.
Okay, we're in 202, and it's the 26th, unless you want me to meet on a Saturday.
No, thank you,
then
thank you
tell us.
thank you very much. I stand corrected.
Okay.
And hopefully, if that's the major mistake I make tonight at this first meeting, I'll be very, very happy.
You'll be great.
I'll
You'll
be
do
very
good.
happy.
You'll do good.
So the 26th of September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That means we're going to discuss it 2 days earlier than I
Right.
thought. Okay. Any other questions or concerns for the Community Relations Committee? If not, we'll move along to the next report, which is from the Hate Crimes Task Force.
Well, I can just repeat when the meeting is again. For those who've tuned in late. The meeting is Tuesday, September 24th. It's our first meeting at 6 o'clock, room 101C at the Police Training Center, and it will be the fourth Tuesday of every month following that meeting. And we want as many people from the public to show up as possible. And we're going to let the public talk to us and set a new agenda for the Hate Crimes Task Force.
Great. That's what we want to do this year, is bring everything we possibly can to the attention of this group and and get off to a fresh new start. Education Forum Committee Chair, Commissioner Aguano.
Thank you. And for those people who haven't seen us for a long time, we've been working on the One Book, One Palm Springs, and I'm heartened to see everybody's wearing their buttons. And if you can't see it on TV, let me read it to you. It says, One Book, One Palm Springs, and then it says, Read the Grapes of Wrath. And we are joining the state of California in promoting the October reading of the Grapes of Wrath. And we'll have a little bit more to talk on that under the items for discussion then or vote. What I'm going to talk about now is what the forum that we're specifically putting together is going to be. And I also, I guess, want to bring up the point that we had discussed originally having 2 business meetings in the month of September and 2 forums during the month of October. In discussing this with the committee, the One Book, One Palm Springs committee, taking into account logistics and concerns of oversaturation, the committee thought it would be more efficacious if we had one forum. And so we're scheduling a forum on October 24th. And so I think maybe we need to discuss when in October we're going to have a 3rd business meeting, if that's indeed what the committee wants to do. Do you want to discuss that now, or shall we wait for a later time?
We'll wait for a later
Okay.
time.
Let me just point out that on the 24th, the forum is going to be entitled Interpreting Social Change Through Literature and Film. And we have 2 experts in the field. Deborah Weber is a historian, teaches at UC Riverside, and she's an expert on immigration and migrant workers and labor issues of the 1930s. And she's going to talk about those issues, and she's going to put it in the context of John Steinbeck's seminal work, The Grapes of Wrath. And we also have Ken Windrum, who is an instructor at Pierce College and a UCLA graduate in cinema studies. Is also going to be talking about the impact of the film and censorship in the 30s around the issues that Steinbeck brought out in his novel and how Hollywood dealt with that. It sounds very interesting after having some preliminary discussions with both these speakers. So I hope everybody marks their calendars and tune in on that day. It's going to be a very entertaining and informative forum. And that's what I have to say.
Could I
Okay.
add just a quick note on that? In your various packets in front of you is a press release that is going out this evening, in fact, that I brought for you primarily because it consolidates other pieces of information about the events in the end of this month and in through October. So it lists those officially planned, formalized events, beginning with Village Fest presence, which the library has greased the skids for us. The Friends of the Library Book Club panel discussion of Grapes of Wrath on the 18th. The 20th, the Folk Singer Authority on Dust Bowl Music and Literature performing Woody Guthrie and other artists. The 24th, of course, as Joe said, our commission forum. The 25th is the showing of the John Ford film at the Camelot Theater, preceded by a wine, cheese, and grapes reception for adults only. Adults over 21 only. And finally, a series of showings at the library on their 52-inch screen of the video of The Grapes of Wrath.
And
Very
these
good.
events are free to the public. As far as the tickets for the wine and cheese and the film, we're going to be distributing them through the library, I think we decided. So if you have any interest in attending and you would like to pick up your free tickets, you can go to the library and pick them up.
Yeah,
And
in October. They're
in
not ready
October.
yet.
Right, they're
Yeah.
not ready yet.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Is there any questions or concerns about the forum or the One Book, One Palm Springs? We have that on the agenda for full discussion, so we can wait on that.
Okay.
Moving right along, commissioner comments. Anyone having a commissioner comment? I know that Commissioner Boyd has a comment.
Yes, I do. As the most newly appointed commissioner to the Human Rights Commission, there are concerns that I do bring forth to my constituents. I do have a proposal regarding certain issues within our community that do concern me, and I wish to bring them to the attention of the Human Rights Commission. They're along the guidelines of what I feel are low visibility regarding minorities within our community's mainstream workforce, as well as local city government, the absence thereof. I have presented each and every one of you with my outline of what I wish to pursue in terms of both a proposal followed by a survey of local business establishments, as well as other commissions and boards as to minority participation. At this point, I am perplexed as to whether there has been any incentive within our community to promote interest by the minority residents within the local community, and whether it has further been supported of their need and welcome participation. Therefore, I do bring to the board this evening your full review and consideration of my efforts to conduct a citywide survey of local, what I consider to be high visibility, high profile businesses within this Palm Springs area, and whether or not the percentage is somewhat balanced by representation and participation of minorities. I'm speaking of all minorities, ethnic groups, and origins. And on that note, I hope that you will give due consideration to this urgent, what I consider very important issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will place this on the agenda for September the 26th. And if you have any proposed information on any survey material that you wish to discuss at that point, please bring it with you or give it to the commission, and probably also whether or not a creation of a subcommittee would be in order. But that will be on the agenda for September the 26th.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? I have one. I forgot to give something to Sly when she was talking about the community relations. I have a newsletter from Orange County's Human Relations, that something that is very, very good, that could serve as an example. And I hate to mention it, but they have a very good little mission statement written in it too.
No, don't mention that. This is
All right.
slick. This is very
Yes,
slick.
it's very, very good. It's very good. And Hemet also, as you mentioned, does have a monthly newsletter, which is something that we can consider. But I forgot to give that to you during your proposal.
Thanks.
Do we have a staff report tonight? I believe we have several items on the staff report.
Just briefly, you will be receiving in the mail, and I passed out the Board and Commission orientation session that is scheduled for 6 o'clock, September 24th, specifically designed for new boards and commission members, but those who are on, it's a good refresher course. It'll be led by our city attorney and city clerk. And I know we have at least one new commissioner who can't make it, so perhaps we could ask Rick to videotape it, so maybe we can get it videotaped for at least you to.
The three of us.
Three. Oh, we're three
May
for
I
three.
interject here that that's a conflict of interest, since that's the same night of the
Well,
hate
that's-
crimes
that's what we're
task force?
talking about,
Yes.
yeah.
That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
And I
Yeah.
don't want to change the hate crimes, right, because a lot of people, that was a month ago we made that date.
Exactly.
Right.
And we're set up with the police now, so we have the room.
So I will see if we can get it videotaped for you,
Okay.
or maybe we could try to schedule something for the three of you.
Maybe they can change theirs.
Perhaps they can,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that date set that it cannot be changed? I know that
Actually be
it's
there.
gone out, so it's
Maybe.
probably set in stone with the city attorney, right?
It looked like it was
Okay.
already scheduled. And then on your calendar, you were correct in noting that October 10th will be the joint board, council, cabinet meeting. And that consists of the city council meeting with the chairs of the various boards and commissions
And they will be meeting at 7 o'clock, is that right?
in the
So-
large conference room.
Okay, then given the fact that we're not going to have the two separate forums, I would suggest that we just go ahead and meet for an hour that day, just prior to the council meeting, and have a regular business meeting for an hour on the 10th of, on the 10th of
So we'll meet
October.
at, what, 5, 6?
6 o'clock, 6 to 7, just prior to the council meeting. That way we maintain what the public knows to be our regular schedule. That change was going to be made only if it was going to have two forums. And so, given the fact that it is council cabinet, we'll just go ahead. If that's agreeable with the commission, you'll only have to be here for an hour.
Great.
Okay? Any other thing from the staff that we need to be aware of? Okay, moving right along to the issues for discussion and/or vote. Several of the items are in your packet that was included with the retreat minutes. The first thing that is in there for discussion and/or vote is a statement of support for the Vista Sunrise Human Services Campus Project. It is a letter that's been composed. I hope you've all had a chance to look at that. Last year, one of our final meetings, the head of the Desert AIDS Project and representing the Vista Sunrise Human Services Project and the Homeless Project of Palm Springs addressed the Human Rights Commission discussing the proposal. And the reason for this statement is to further to go on record, this commission to go on record in support of that project. At the time that Mr. Brown addressed us, we had people nodding their heads in support. But the request was made that we put that in writing, so I hope that that is agreeable to you. Is there any open it now to discussion, if we might? Do you have a copy of that? Everyone have a copy of it? You didn't get that? It's in this packet. If you have this, you have that. Okay, okay. If you haven't, if you've not had a chance to look at it, we'll just take a few minutes and let people have a chance to look at that statement. Are there any comments concerning that statement, or any? Is there, if there, I guess I would entertain a motion for the approval of that statement to be signed and given to the people as a statement of support from this commission. Is there a motion to approve that statement?
I move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Zonas. Is there a second?
I second that.
Commissioner Boyd has seconded it. Is there any discussion on the matter?
Has the city council, have they approved this yet? They're still in the works? I've seen it on their meetings several times.
I believe it's either going to the planning commission, that stage first.
This would be a statement, I believe, that would be of help in going to the planning commission. That would be the intent of it. Any further comment? Call a what?
We should move to vote.
Okay, let's move.
I move we should vote on this.
You move or call the question?
I call the question.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. That's approved. The next items that we have, number 2 and 3 are, no, 2 and 4 actually, are 2 items that are carryovers from last year. The reason that I asked for them to be put on the agenda is I believe that we need, as a commission, to vote on these measures up or down. We need to address them. The one issue, the first one, number 2 on your agenda, which we look at first, the proposed death penalty moratorium resolution, which we would, if passed, would be forwarded to the Palm Springs City Council, was brought to this board's attention by the ACLU. And in all due respect to them and to the community, when anyone from the community brings us something, I think we need to give a response. This is about the 3rd or 4th draft of this. It has been cut down in some respect, but again, I'd like to open this for discussion. But again, I would urge the commission, if at all possible, if we could vote one way or another on these matters, because otherwise they drag on and drag on and drag on. And I want to make sure that we encourage the public to bring things to our attention, such as with the Hate Crimes Task Force or with the Community Relations Committee, and I think that by giving an answer, we can do that well. Is there any discussion on this?
Well, we've had conversations and presentations on the issue, and in the various permutations that we've seen, I think this one is as succinct as we've seen them, and really captures the essence of the resolution, which is really a moratorium as opposed to a declaration to end capital punishment, end the death penalty. And I think in the interest of studying the issue further and getting clearer, that it seems appropriate to me that we support a moratorium for the purpose of looking further into doing a better job of ensuring that if we're going to continue with the death penalty, that it is all but foolproof. And I say that almost tongue-in-cheek because I'm not sure what is in our world anymore. But in the interest of avoiding the death penalty for people who are not guilty of the crimes that they have committed, that we support the moratorium for the purpose of further study.
Further comment?
Yes, please. My inquiry, and I did review this very carefully, what would be the guidelines in terms of length of time of the moratorium? I didn't see where that was actually spelled out. That is my question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have.
I
any-
don't think it is spelled
Then
out.
I
It's
think
not,
there-
it's not,
That
it's
it
not
is
spelled
spelled
out. What it states is that, that the city council would join in calling for a moratorium on executions pending completion of studies on the reliability and fairness of the death penalty.
Then I would come back and still ask my initial question as to the time length, time parameters involved in a moratorium.
Studies could go on ad infinitum, and
Then I would have reservations.
If you have an amendment, those amendments can be considered also to this. Further comment? A very good comment on that point. And we all do know that this committee can study and study and study, so who knows what other people can do.
well, are there other concerns or problems that people have with it? Because if putting a date certain or a sunset clause or something is all we need to do, then we could probably do that fairly expediently and move ahead. But if there are other issues.
Well, I have a general question. we have 3 new commissioners, including myself, 2 and myself. We were not present, when you had these discussions. So is it proper for us to be voting? I'm basically be voting on my own beliefs. And I did happen to watch one of the discussions on television, but I'm not coming with the same knowledge to this because we weren't part of the discussion back then. So is it proper for us to vote, or do we abstain, or?
Well, there's a resolution in front of you, and if you've
Yeah.
studied the resolution,
Then you should be able to.
then you should be
Okay.
able to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can vote, your conscience.
Right.
Because that is what you're here to do.
And I'm going to feel comfortable voting.
Okay?
I have a question for Joe. This was your original reservations with the original, do you have any comments? Has this
Well-
been fixed?
Well, again, I had extensive comments that one night, and I don't want to belabor the point, but I don't believe that some of my issues have been addressed. Namely, I see no evidence that the death penalty in California has been used to execute innocent people. That's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? We do not have, there's not been a motion on the floor as of yet. We've been just discussing this as a matter of fact. I would entertain a motion at this time if you feel comfortable in voting on it one way or the other.
I have a comment. I got an email from, I believe, Commissioner Yo. It was so long that I got it at work that I didn't have a chance to really read it. I think I wasn't sure what his conclusions were. But perhaps it might be good to have, I hate to try to table something because the commissioner isn't here. But because that's part of, we would never get anything done if we table something every time. I think he had some strong objections.
Yeah,
And he probably wanted to be heard, but he didn't ask that to be read into the record or anything. So I just wanted to make that point that I didn't get really a chance to study exactly what, there was a lot of capital words, so he was making some
Strong
exclamation
points.
and strong points. But I didn't really get a chance to review his comments.
When did that email come
I
through?
believe I got today,
Okay.
or last night.
Yeah.
This morning, see, and I haven't checked my
Because
email.
I have not checked my email
I have
today,
not.
so I have not received that email.
Haven't been home.
But I want to reiterate that that a lot of times, we've done this in the past where we said, well, he's not here and it's his thing, so we keep postponing things. But I think it's sort of, if you snooze, you lose. If you can't make the meeting and you don't ask something to be read in the record, I'm afraid that's just the way it is. And so that's one of the reasons why we all just try to attend every meeting we can, is to make sure we get our voices heard.
That may be a good issue, too, to point out, too, that if you can't be here, that if you do have a position, to ask for it to be read into the record by someone else. We've not really made that point clear in the past, and perhaps we should. Any further discussion, or is there any movement on this point, or not?
I think we should take action on it, start something new. Start a new tradition instead of tabling something.
Okay?
Let's go ahead and see how it goes.
So I move we take a vote.
I
Okay.
On the-
second.
Been moved by, to take a vote on this issue by Commissioner Feingold and seconded by Commissioner Bowens. Is there any, I guess we'll go ahead and take the vote on it then. I think
What would the vote be? Are you for the resolution?
for sending the resolution on to City Council or not. If you're in favor of sending it to City Council for their review, then the vote would be yes. If you are against sending it to City Council, the vote would be no. Is that clear? I think, call for a roll call vote?
Commissioner Boyd?
No.
Commissioner Bowens?
Yes.
Commissioner Feingold?
No.
Commissioner Zelnus?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaufman?
Yes?
Commissioner Aguano?
No.
Commissioner McCullough?
No.
4 no and 3 yes.
Okay, it is defeated. The next point we have for discussion and our vote concerns whether or not the commission would join the proposal in the United States Congress for, it's the Innocence Protection Act, to whether or not we would want to endorse that. Unfortunately, I do not have a full copy of it. I do have a letter that I received from Congresswoman Mary Bono, one of the co-sponsors of it, and if I may, I'd like to read from the letter. And she says, "Recently, I co-sponsored the Innocence Protection Act, which would address the problem of inadequate representation, a frequently cited reason for the reversal of death penalty cases. The bill would help states provide experienced and qualified attorneys to defendants who are facing the death penalty by offering incentive and resource grants. This bill also amends the federal judicial code to allow a person convicted of federal crime to request DNA testing in support of a claim that the person did not commit the crime of which he or she has been convicted. Furthermore, the bill sets forth guidelines for courts to use in ordering DNA testing and provisions regarding post-conviction DNA testing in state criminal justice systems." I will also say that that I should read that the first paragraph of the letter says that again from Congresswoman Mary Bono, "I support the fair application of the death penalty for the most heinous of crimes, for those criminals who have committed violent acts that violate the moral fabric of our society. The death penalty should be an option as a method of punishment." The issue here would be whether or not we as a commission would be lending any support to the passage of this measure in the United States Congress.
Do we know when it's coming up for a vote?
No, I do not know for sure when it's coming up for a vote. I do not think it's coming up for a vote probably before the in this session. I imagine there's a number of things that are going to preclude its being addressed. So if the commission would feel much more comfortable, as I can understand, awaiting to receive a copy of the bill, this issue can be postponed in that light if you would like.
Yeah, I would like to see the whole bill. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, but picking up on what you said before about action and waiting, I know I, in good conscience, can vote for that statement in principle right now, knowing that laws get amended and changed and riders attached, et cetera, et cetera. But what she spelled out there, I have no problem with, and I can support that. So
Can I add-
I could vote on that right
But
now.
I could vote yes on that right now, but what if that's not the bill?
Exactly.
I mean, maybe this is Mary Bono's interpretation of the bill.
Exactly.
That's why I'd like to see the bill,
Yes.
because that's what they vote on in the Congress, not Mary Bono's interpretation. No, what Dean Stevens just read is absolutely I'd vote yes for. But I don't know if that's what the bill's going to say.
Exactly.
I don't want to vote yes and then find out, 3 months later, I voted yes for, something I don't believe in.
I understand that, and I believe that I would feel more comfortable bringing this to the commission's attention if I had the full bill. It's on the agenda. This is what I had. I wanted to make sure I brought it to your attention. It is not something that has been brought to us by a member of the community. It is something that in researching the information given to us on the moratorium on the death penalty, it became an alternative type of situation that I thought that would be well for us to address. If it's the consensus of the commission, we will continue it until we have the proper material to review.
Do you have the bill number there?
No, unfortunately, I don't. I'll have to recontact the office. I had asked for the bill, a copy of the bill, to be sent, and I didn't receive it. So I don't know what the status of the bill is. It may be completely in session to be marked up right now by a subcommittee, so it may not be available per se right now. But we can wait until it is available, and I will ensure that the commissioners have a copy of it when it is available.
Yeah. Dean, I would move that we postpone discussion until we have a copy of the actual bill.
I second that emotion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Motion. Sorry.
That's all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will postpone action on this item. The next item is one of our leftover items from I believe it came to us in January of 2002 in one state or another, and that is a substance abuse resolution for the city of Palm Springs. It has been in various forms also, and it is something that lingers on our table, and I would like to have also an up or down vote, if at all possible, so we can go on to other items. I hope you've had a chance to look at this, especially the new members. And I do not know, are there any comments at this time on this? Joseph, I know that you worked on it. Do you want to make any sort of statement?
Well, of course, I'm in favor of it being in the schools and seeing its effects, and I want to support it, and I want to state for the record that the school district in general, and Palm Springs High School in particular, is moving ahead in substance abuse issues and addressing it with faculty, staff, and students in a variety of ways. My only concern about the way the resolution is written is that there's a statement in there regarding responsibilities by the Human Rights Commission, and I don't see that spelled out, and I just have concerns as to what we are committing to as members of the Human Rights Commission, whether we're going to be held to if we vote on this, and if we accept this.
Which portion of it are you?
E.
D?
Section 3E as in Edward.
Could you read that for us?
The City Council directs the Human Rights Commission of the City of Palm Springs, in conjunction with the Palm Springs Police Department, to prepare and present a plan to implement the city's substance abuse policy.
That is a section E. I think that section was dropped from the current version.
It's not there. This is the
one
new
that
one
I
here.
have.
I don't have that on mine.
It's dropped from the current version
This is
because
the new one
of prior comments and reservations on that matter. The current version does not
This is
have
the one
an
that just
E
came in my package
factor in
just
it,
now.
I believe.
Maybe I was looking at an old one.
So they've dropped that then?
Yeah, because of concerns such as what you're talking about.
So is this identical with just the exception of this one paragraph? Is that the only change, is the deletion of paragraph E?
I believe so. I believe that is what was dropped.
Well, I think quickly we could say the city, through its police department, will enforce substance abuse laws of the state of California within the city of Palm Springs. The city council will not tolerate substance abuse within or adjacent to any city facility. The city council supports the dissemination of information concerning the risks and dangers of substance abuse. And the city council urges community groups, businesses, and civic organizations to support the elimination of substance abuse within the city, education of the city's residents concerning the dangers and risks of substance abuse, and any activity prohibited by the laws of the state of California.
And again, I would like to also read for the public's information one factor that when this was first proposed to us, one thing that the prior commission did ask that was put into this, and that is a reference to Proposition 36, initiative passed in November of 2000, which provides that certain adult offenders who use or possess illegal drugs for personal consumption would receive drug treatment and supervision rather than be sent to jail or prison. So make sure that people know that that also is a part of this resolution.
And now what we are voting on is to,
Again, this would be to send this to the city council for their review
Okay.
and for their enactment. Again, the Human Rights Commission cannot enact policy for the city of Palm Springs. We are here to advise the city council as far as developing policy for the city.
A little more history. I believe this came from council or the mayor, didn't it, to us to review, and then we revised it extensively.
extensively.
And
Came
now
initially-
we're sending it back. They sent it to us to look at, I think.
It came initially from conversations and came from former Assistant City Manager Dallas Faycheck. The original draft was prepared by him.
Well, I have to say that I continue to have some concerns about it from a number of perspectives. The first being even the resolution title, if you will, including covering the use of misuse of alcohol, tobacco, prescription, and illegal drugs. I guess I don't know what the abuse of tobacco is. I mean, I think smoking is a stupid thing, and having done it for years and years, I can attest to that on a personal level. I don't anymore. But, you know, what is inappropriate or abuse of tobacco? I mean, the others, you know, illegal drugs, alcohol, et cetera, we all get a vision in our minds of what that means. I also get concerned, and part of it comes from some concerns that Mike raised the last time we were talking about this issue around due process, and the things that come up just in life that need different treatment in order to be fair. And there isn't a provision here, and I think the one that the example you used, Mike, in the past was somebody who buys a boat, and there's marijuana stashed someplace in the boat that doesn't belong to them, but to whomever, who knows, but because it's now your boat and the substance is there, you are presumed to be guilty. There are things, and I appreciated one of the things that I only looked at quickly, the article that you provided earlier, Dean, from Jimmy Carter's article.
Oh.
And, you know, the things that I see and hear and read about the American Patriots Act, and some of the things that I saw just real briefly in that article, that we are, and I use we in the loose collective sense, pushing through legislation that I think, if not directly, comes real close to compromising some of our personal freedoms. But at a time like this, and in the course of the last year, after September 11th, 2001, we tend to be a little more eager to jump on things that sound like a good idea without really sitting back and thinking about the long-term effects, the implications, the unintended consequences. And I can't speak to something in particular, and I know it seems un-American to not be supportive of a substance abuse resolution like
The
this,
most
but-
American thing I think of is the discussion and the ability to express one's own opinion. There is nothing un-American about that, Sly, and I hope that never gets changed. I will just add one thing about the illegal use of tobacco that refers to underage smoking.
Underage, yeah, I thought that was the only thing I
Yeah.
could come up with to it, but it just, you know, it's that combination of things that just make me uncomfortable with this kind of an approach on principle, not the subject itself, and I'm not in favor of substance abuse, but it's the approach that causes me concern.
And to touch on one of the points you raised, was my original concerns with some of the language that was in the zero tolerance proposal. And I think that Joe's worked, and I worked on the committee, I think we eliminated a lot of the language and the things that I thought I really strongly disagreed with at that time. And that's why, and this is kind of watered down now, and I believe that these resolutions are really kind of feel-good things anyway. They're not really going to cause the police to change how they operate. It's
Sure.
just that someone in the city hierarchy decided that they wanted to make a statement about drug use. And So that's, you know, I know it's not going to really change enforcement, I don't think, too much.
Mr. Chair.
And may
Oh.
I further comment, backing up Commissioner Zanis? A lot of the things that I am picking up that we're presented with, it's sort of leaning either pro or to the extreme, to the other extreme. It doesn't give you a balance in terms of weighing the issues that are presented to us as a commission. It's either pro or con. I would like to see more things that come before us with much more clarification, much more detail, much more work, much more findings before we then render our either approval or our disapproval. I found nothing in this to exercise my thoughts any further as to pro or con. It's very loose. I see certain things that lean toward, yes, support, but then there are arguments. They're very valid arguments. Some things I find too restrictive, too limited in their context, so I have questions about that. I think basically what I find in a lot of the literature and different things that are presented to this commission need to be sort of pre-screened, gone back over, clarified, give the pros and cons before we then make a decision as a body.
Mr. Chair, I'm glad we're having this discussion because I read this the other day and I thought, well, if I vote no on this, the way this is written, it sounds like Bill Feingold says no. So yes, I'm for drugs. Yes, I'm for kids smoking, but I'm not. But I don't see the point of this. I mean, if the city wants to make a statement that we're against illegal drug use, fine. But this goes way beyond. It just scared me, and I thought when I was going to coming here tonight, I thought, well, I'm going to vote no, and then everyone's going to think, wait a minute, he's for drugs, he's for 12-year-olds drinking in the parking lot and smoking. Yeah. And when did this come up? Did this come up during the whole white party thing last year?
For clarification, I'm not really sure when it came up, but this did, you should, if you're worried about how it's written now, you should have seen what we originally gotten. And so it went to a subcommittee that Joe and I worked on, and with Commissioner Jacobs, and so that's how the process kind of worked. We all looked at it, we didn't like it, so we threw it to the subcommittee, and we batted it around, revised it, changed it, and now it's come back. So that's kind of the process. The subcommittee spent a lot of time on it, and that's usually what happens. People who are interested in what comes before us, they join that little subcommittee, and they bat it around, and it comes back to us for revision. We all, as a group, don't necessarily go over all of the details for these things, or we'd always be in meetings. So that's sort of the history of it, but I believe I have the original one here, but that's kind of what happened. We sort of just, this thing came to us, and it just sort of became baggage, and then we didn't like it, let's try to fix it. Instead of, and we did talk about just rejecting it out of hand and saying, we don't like it, and we're not going to do anything. And that was really, at one point, that was the conclusion of the subcommittee, was to just dump the thing and say, we don't like it.
Mhm. Why does the city want to restate the obvious? Drugs are illegal.
I'm
So, I
not
mean,
su-
the city
Whatever-
council's never said, go do drugs. I mean, they're illegal.
Whatever the
There's a
city's,
police department, there are laws.
whatever the city's position is, and we don't know because they haven't voted on it when it was brought forth to us for discussion, we objected to draconian sounding tone of this. And and going back to what Sly says, I have to agree. I'm often disheartened by the arbitrariness of our laws when it comes to controlled substance. For instance, there are strong factions who even refuse to consider the medical benefits of marijuana, yet anybody over 21 could buy all the alcohol they want and poison their liver and kill their brain cells. And there's a certain subjectivity to those kind of laws, meaning that lacks objectivity. However, with something like this, and I think what we've come up with is a document that supports education. And even to answer your question about tobacco, we're not going to. I don't think this resolution suggests that we want to outlaw tobacco, but we want to educate, as we do, people, especially minors, to the dangers of smoking. And same thing with the dangers of abuse. And we're talking about abuse rather than use, because you do cross a line from use to abuse. And I feel I can support this because its emphasis is on education and rehabilitation, and not necessarily punishment. Because on the other hand, we do have laws, and those laws are beneficial when it comes to what we do in public. Walking down the streets drunk, stoned, driving a car drunk, stoned. These are bad things, objectively speaking.
But don't we have the federal government doing the tobacco issue? I mean, don't we see all those commercials? Isn't it on the cigarette package?
And you know,
I mean, so what does Palm Springs want to do? Go door to door? Is that, and say you shouldn't smoke and take cigarettes away from people?
What I think this commission can do is to state that we are more concerned with education than we are with punishment. That's the way
See,
I
I
see
could
it.
vote for that. That I could vote for,
That's the way I see
obviously.
it.
But that's not what this says, in my mind.
Okay.
If we sent to the city council a bill saying the Human Rights Commission supports educating the public and especially school-age children about the dangers of alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drugs, I could vote yes on that 20 times.
But also the adult population about driving drunk and the
But
enormous
that's
cost
already
associated-
being done. You have MAD, you have commercials constantly, the tobacco, you have the woman that smokes through her neck. I mean, after you see that commercial, if you want to smoke, I mean,
She stopped.
yeah, she stopped, yeah. She's on a speaking tour.
So what you're saying is if this is rewritten, you would feel more comfortable with it?
Yeah, if it was something much simpler and it really was based on education. And especially you want more education in the schools, fine.
Exactly.
Get them when they're young. Yeah, it has to be more specific towards education, and I think more towards school-age children. Because I think once you're an adult, I mean, when I was growing up, it's when that you first found out you got cancer from cigarettes. And we knew when we smoked cigarettes, we were behind the supermarket. We weren't standing in front of the school trying them. We knew something was wrong. So you don't have to tell me now. I never smoked. Did it one day, and that was it. You don't have to tell me if you drink too much, you shouldn't drive. I would like to base it on school-age children and education.
Okay. I was wondering if on that line, if in D, line 2 of D, if we eliminate
Yeah,
the
okay.
words, the elimination of substance abuse within the city, therefore it would read, the city council urges community groups, businesses, and civic organizations to support the education of the city's residents regarding the dangers and risks of substance abuse and in any activity prohibited by the laws of the state of California. Would that help at all? Something on that order?
We're asking to eliminate a statement supporting the elimination of abuse. I mean, is that a bad thing to eliminate abuse?
Just,
Can you
I
just-
think that I've served on the subcommittee that we met at least once and on the phone a few times on this thing. I think we spent a lot of time on this, and I think we have a couple options. We have maybe 3, but 2 to me would be either have another subcommittee formed and take it back and try to fix it based on the comments tonight, or to just send the original one back to council and say, we've looked at it, we don't support this. And I'd like to make a motion that we just send it back and say, no, we don't like it.
I second that motion.
been moved and seconded, moved by Commissioner McCullough, seconded by Commissioner Aguano, that we inform the city that we are not in favor of this, of a draft proposal regarding substance abuse.
Right. Well, actually, it was their zero tolerance
That's
thing.
right.
Everything else we've done is just
You'd like
an
it to
exercise.
refer to the original
It would be the original
proposal.
proposal that they sent us.
To the original proposal
Yes,
sent to
that
us,
we-
not to our redrafts of it.
Right.
So it'd
Our
be-
redrafts don't have anything to do with that.
And just to comment on it, not to add a friendly amendment at all, just to comment on it, when we do send it back with the letter, we can explain the difficulty we had with coming to any kind of consensus. So this is a very complicated issue.
Okay.
I would accept that friendly amendment.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, because they're going to take it wrong if we don't put the amendment in. They're going to say the Human Rights Commission is for drugs.
Right, right.
Okay.
And
And,
the Human Rights Commission is not for drugs?
Right, that, we understand that.
okay. And would this motion mean for the executive committee to send the letter, or would you like to see the letter before it is sent?
I would like to see the letter.
Okay. Do you like the letter brought back to you at September 26th?
Yes.
Okay.
For discussion.
Okay, are we clear about what the motion is then? Lee, are we clear?
Yeah, the motion is that we draft that letter, that we're rejecting the proposed zero tolerance resolution
Okay,
with an explanation as to how
As
we
written.
agonized over it.
okay.
I should say, as written, I mean,
Right.
to protect us.
We ready to vote? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Any abstentions? So ordered, and I will draft this and give it to the executive committee for review prior to the September 26th meeting, or draft it and have it circulated so you all see it before that meeting, so that you'll feel prepared to make any changes you might want to before that. And I may rely on our staff for support on the proper wording of the letter itself. Moving right along then. With the election of Commissioner Feingold to be the vice chair, he was elected originally to be the second quarter executive committee rotating member, which is for the period of time October, November, and December. Since the vice chair is automatically a member of the executive committee being made up of the chair, vice chair, and one quarterly rotating member, we need to elect another person to fill that position. I assume you prefer to have the vice chair over the...
Yes, I would, yeah.
Okay. I'm not overstepping.
I
my
don't want two
boundary.
hats.
Okay. Is there anyone who'd like to volunteer for that?
May I mention something here? Since I'm the most newly appointed commissioner on the HRC commission, could you sort of define or clarify the position or or exactly the duties or what is involved with the executive committee?
Surely. The executive committee is a three-member subcommittee of this group that meets on the second Tuesday of each month at now 2 o'clock in the afternoon to prepare the agenda and to discuss budgetary items to prepare for these meetings. And that's what it does, basically speaking. It clears things in advance of coming here. Its major duty is to set the agenda, to hear from people on the commission as to what they would like to have on the agenda, and to clear the agenda items. And also to take care of normal budgetary matters that come through from time to time that are included within our natural annual budget and do not need to come before this, the full commission for approval. It's a very simple duty. It usually lasts about half an hour, 45 minutes at most. But there is an important factor. In the absence of the chair and vice chair, the rotating third member is the contact person, is the acting chair of the commission.
Then may I place a nomination?
Yes?
Commissioner McCullough?
I would prefer not to, being during the working, 2 o'clock, and it's not a good time for me.
And if I'm not mistaken, the third and fourth people are, Dorothy, you have one of them, right?
Yes, I do.
you're in January through March. And the fourth one is Joe? Is that correct?
If it wasn't, it is now.
So that basically leaves either Sly or Charles or James or Paul, but they're not here.
I know already that I have a conflict on one of those days and potentially on a second. So that quarter is,
Okay, since that quarter is upon us, is there any possibility that either Dorothy or Joseph could move up?
Sure, I could do that. I do have a question, though. Does it have to be less than a quorum? What if everybody decides to show up? I mean, can we do that?
Oh, people can show up. The only official votes are given by the three
okay.
people. But everyone on the commission is welcomed at those meetings. I don't mean to make that,
No, you
and the
think
public, is open, it's a public meeting. So anyone is open, is.
But they can't vote.
but-
Committee members can't vote. I just wanted to clarify that, because I thought that was the case,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure if it
Yeah.
was a Brown Act violation. Yes, I'll attend this quarter.
Okay, so then we can put it on the agenda for a future meeting to elect a replacement for you for the fourth quarter. And perhaps either Commissioner Janice or Commissioner Yo might be interested in that, or perhaps Sly, your schedule might be free at that point. Okay? All right. Moving right along, we now are at One Book, One Palm Springs, an update and consideration of financial contribution.
okay. The financial contribution piece that we're bringing to the meeting this evening is in relation to the various financial obligations that we're experiencing with the One Book, One Palm Springs effort. The project itself, if you will, has gotten a $1,000 grant from the California Council for the Humanities, which is one of the partnering groups sponsoring this effort, along with other California Reads over the course of the next couple of years. We also have $1,000 donated from the Friends of the Library. And our third major contributor is an in-kind contributor of the Camelot Theaters, donating the use of their facility to show the film on the 25th and have the preceding reception. We have some outstanding expenses with regard to the speakers, the event, the refreshments for the reception at the Camelot,
singer.
the folk singer as well. And
By the
we're
way, I just want to add that these
Sure.
are all free to the public,
yes, yes, indeed, they are all free to the public.
and they are great events. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, things are really shaping up to have really good value, not just things to do in relation to the Grapes of Wrath, but really some interesting as well as fun things coming up. Particularly since we were authorized the carryover of last year's remaining budget into this year, and have had the intent of having dollars available to fund speakers for our forums. Now, obviously, this is not a Human Rights Commission forum, but we are one of the two mover and shaker organizations promoting, sponsoring the One Book, One Palm Springs effort.
But in the way it is a forum, because we are inviting us, Deborah Weber, the historian, to specifically speak on immigration and migrant workers and their civil rights. So there is that tie-in with the Human Rights Commission.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. It's the two speakers that are asking for a stipend, if you will, for
How much are we
that
talking
event.
about?
I would like to throw out to the group the consideration of $500.
And again, I will say that this is an item that is budgeted. This is budgeted for. It does fall within a category for public speakers, for our forums, and all that, just in case there's any question about that. This is not something like a new item. It's in front of you tonight because it is not a $50 item. It's a $500 item. The money is there in the budget for this, should you wish to do so.
Or for things like
or
this.
for things
not
like this,
for this
but there are
specifically,
funds available for this, and there are funds available for this that will not shortchange other programs either, I might add.
Look, I think you've done a lot of work, and it sounds like a great program, and we should fund it. And get it off the ground and do it right.
Is that a motion?
It's a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Feingold. Is there a second to allot $500? Second by Commissioner Boyd. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's passed, $500, and just let us know when you need it and how you need it, and we'll sign the proper paperwork, okay?
One more single.
Okay, what do we have on the Village Fest booth proposal update and request? You said something about the Library Commission had pushed this along a little bit.
They pushed along our being able to share the city's booth, and I don't think it's the public safety group. I think it's a separate league. You probably speak to that. Am I on? Now I'm on. To share the city's booth for the weeks beginning September 19th through the end of October, expressly for the One Book, One Palm Springs promotion. So we didn't take that any further in terms of, is this the same booth that the community or community groups are being considered for sharing with the city, or what further opportunities there might be. So.
There is a separate city booth then, that this is going, so this would be separate from any ongoing activity that this commission might have in conjunction with the Police Advisory Committee.
Correct.
So, I know that the Police Advisory Committee will be working on this
Tuesday.
with this commission at its meeting on Tuesday, I believe. Is that correct?
It will be brought to us next week.
Okay.
The subcommittee will report and bring the report. It's on our agenda.
Okay, okay. So is there anything that, other than, I know that in your report from the Community Relations Committee, it talked about working for disseminating information at a Village Fest type thing. Is there something that you would like to bring forward in this time from the Community Relations to further our participation in a Village Fest booth application with the Palm Springs Police Advisory Committee and any other groups?
Well, that was one of the topics that we discussed, and in fact, it was the afternoon that we met that Bill was headed to a Village Fest committee meeting that
But
didn't
they didn't have it.
happen.
There was no quorum. They were all with Commissioner Bowens, from what I understand. But I think, I just think that what we talked about at that lunch was that if we do get a table and share it with the police, that it doesn't always have to be just about the Human Rights Commission, that we have to broaden our base, and if the Mizell Center wants to get some pamphlets with us, or other DAP, or any organization, your 100 Club, any information that we think the public should know about, that would be the perfect place to do it.
And one of our things was that that's going to fall on the second, on a Thursday. We're here on Thursday, so I don't know how the commissioners would handle that.
We're here on the second and fourth Thursdays
I know,
of the month.
two of the Thursdays out of the month,
Yeah.
so I don't know how we would
Well,
wanna
and we
do that.
could, we could end
Alternate.
up just, or say, we will only be there the first and third Thursdays of the month. It's not that we have to be there
Every Thursday.
every week. Or, as is part of the discussion of our committee, was bringing in somebody from Mizell or from, Riverside County Mental Health to be there as a partner of the Human Rights Commission.
I guess what I would like to find out from the commission tonight is whether or not you'd like to go ahead and working with the Police Advisory Committee and any other such groups in developing this community booth at Village Fest, because I think that especially it's timely since it's going to the Police Advisory Committee on Tuesday. If they know that this body is behind it, that it would be helpful to that group. Yes.
Do we have commitments from people who want to actually go down on the first and third Thursdays? Because I've known from a lot of groups that I've been involved with, is it's very hard to get people to go down there even on an every other week basis and staff that table. It can be very difficult to do. It's a huge commitment for an organization to make, and maybe we should let if we only want to do it once a month, or twice a month, or once every other month, depending on how many groups participate. I think that before we go and start offering our that we want to participate, we should maybe define how much we want to participate and have a commitment. Because I know these meetings take up 2 of my Thursdays, and it seems like every Thursday night there's someone wants to have a meeting. It's like the getaway night for people, and I'm constantly having to tell them, no, I've got a Human Rights Commission, and my other Thursdays are almost always booked with something else. I never get to go to Village Fest because Thursday nights are just big news, and so I think that we need to consider that.
I would like to second that. I agree. I have commitments on the other 2 Thursday nights down at Village Fests.
Well, I would suggest, or just throw out at the table, that we look at, a minimal kind of commitment. And among 9 of us, even if some people have other commitments on an ongoing basis and just can't do it, that maybe there would be enough of us to do a 1 Thursday a month rotation, and have to do it maybe once or twice a year.
I think what we're talking about too, if I'm not mistaken, looking at some material that I've seen from the Police Advisory Committee, is that it's a development by our 2 bodies of a community-based booth that can be there for other groups, and that these 2 groups should be the parent group, shall we say, not necessarily that members from either this group or the Police Advisory Committee would be there on a constant basis, but that we would provide this as a public service for other groups also. And so I think that what I'm trying to find out is whether or not there is the ability for us to move forward on this sort of proposal at this time or not. At least to continue in the discussions with the Police Advisory Committee, to give them some assurances that should they decide to go forward, that we would be an active working partner with them.
It's a lot of our PR is what it is, so that we can get word out to the community and just say, for instance, someone wants to come and sit there with some of their information, they could also do that. It wouldn't always be the Human Rights or the Police Advisory. It might be your Hundreds Club. Maybe something's going on and you need more funds. You could be there that particular Thursday night with materials so the people would know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we did that with the Lions Club. We had our home tour in December, and we had to go through the whole process of going to Village Fest, asking for I think we did like 3 weeks or something. And so I think a lot of the service organizations would appreciate the opportunity to maybe have a 1 week thing where they're going to have their tramway race this week, or they're going to have the home tour or whatever. That would probably a lot of those organizations would love to not have to go through the process. Even though the Village Fest board is very accommodating, you still have to go to the meetings and sit there and wait your turn and have representations, and so that brings up a point that I wanted to ask. And has the Village Fest Commission, have they approved this concept of having sort of a rotating community table?
To my knowledge, it has not been, they have not been approached by it yet, because it hasn't been brought forth by this group or by the Palm Springs Police Advisory Committee. So we're at a very much of a planning state, and basically saying, will we give our group the authority to go forward to talk to the Village Fest Board, to work with the Police Advisory Committee?
I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
I have a comment, please. I'm getting sort of a mixed apples and oranges sort of thing here. somehow you lose the flavor, you lose the impact of what we're all about if you start bringing other interest groups. I think that's wonderful. I think they have their place at the Village Fest. But at the same time, I think that we should be represented, we should be there, and we should definitely, clearly make it obvious to the public that here is a booth that consists of representatives from the Human Rights Commission. Accessibility, exposure, and clarification. Again, this thing of being precise, being specific in your endeavors. We should stay focused, not expand ourselves to the point or broaden ourselves as to where we send mixed signals. Because even as part of this intergroup group, I'm getting mixed signals already. I think we should stick to the focus. If we have a booth from our concept, from our implementation, it should be along the lines of Human Rights Commission. And it should be spelled out, it should be clear that people traversing up and down that boulevard, that they are aware that we are there and that we're represented. And I feel that we should have people, I think we should discuss tonight that we could give a part of our time to being representative and being there for them. So,
Commissioner Feingold?
Yeah, I like the concept, though, of broadening. There's not enough of us to be there every week. I don't think it would be wrong if we say to the Lions Club, for instance, you have 3 weeks. And maybe the proviso should be that the Lions Club should say, we're here because the Human Rights Commission, this is their booth, and the Human Rights Commission is broadening their umbrella, and that's why we're here tonight. But then we get to know the Lions Club. The Lions Club gets to know the Human Rights Commission. And then if we have
is it spelled out, though, that the Human Rights Commission is supportive, that we are in
I think our literature should be there every
the
week.
Lions?
Even if we're not there, for the 3 weeks the Lions Club is there. Whatever literature we have should be with the Lions Club.
What is wrong with having representation from
I'm
our
just saying
committee?
that we can't say that we can do it because there's just not enough people.
First of all, for one thing is, as long as we have meetings on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month, we can't be there
I
those two
understand that.
times.
But the other 2 Thursdays.
The other 2 Thursdays, we should try. But
And I'm willing to do that, by the way.
But right now, this is getting into some of the more specifics, and what we need to decide right now, I believe, is whether or not we want to go forward as a commission discussions with the Police Advisory Committee in devising a proposal to present to the Village Fest Board to develop a community-based booth that under the direction and sponsorship of these 2 groups, Human Rights Commission and the Police Advisory Committee working together, that is with our information and also open to other community-based groups. I think that it could be very advantageous to the Village Fest people. They wouldn't have people coming to them all the time asking for this or that. It could expedite their matters, and it could work out very well. What we need
As long as
tonight-
it's spelled out in that fashion,
Yeah.
Commissioner Kaufman,
Yeah.
I'm
Because-
in
because
agreement
that-
with that.
because that's what we
I just don't want it to get lost in the shuffle of what you're attempting to do.
What we need is if we decide to go forward with this, then we need to have people from this commission who
Yes.
volunteer to be on that subcommittee.
Yes, definitely so.
Okay?
Yeah, I guess one of my concern, and this is not a new one, y'all have, except for 3 of you, have heard this from me a number of times in the past, that, as you mentioned, Mike, I think, or alluded to, that just the logistics of getting people there, making sure the materials are there, that whoever is scheduled to be there, whether it's Human Rights Commission specifically, or the Mizell Center, or the Lions Club, or whomever, is going to take some staff support that either, and Lee's eyes get risen, that either comes from us as a commission, which we consistently find difficult to do just because we're busy people and have lives as well, and don't have a lot of resources to draw for staff support to do this kind of thing. So my biggest concern would be between ourselves and the Police Advisory Committee, are there resources, and I'm half looking at Lee, but not because I'm looking at you as a resource, but you as a knowledgeable person here who might be able to give us a sense of the availability of a staff resource between those two groups to facilitate all the logistics that are going to be part of this kind of an effort.
We haven't voted on it yet in the police advisory group. As I forestated, it's going to be brought to our group by our subcommittee next week. So it could be a thumbs down, and they might not even want to do this. So it's something that's being brought back to our group. And mainly what I would like to say is that the Human Rights Commission would like to be a part of this. And now I don't know how you would want to be on top of all of this and what you mean by that. I have no idea how you want to do that.
I would just like to definitely keep in mind sort of like a voice in our conscience, that we stay focused, that whatever we implement, whatever we as a body, as a collective, that we stay on top, that we don't, we can diversify ourselves, fragment ourselves to a point where we lose the main objective in our cause. I'm for representation. I'm for the fact that I want it made clear to the public that we are accessible. I don't want to send mixed signals that this is the Lions Club this week and whatever else community involvement or group is the next week. I want people, the public, that have questions, that have inquiries, that need our support as we are here to commit ourselves to know that we're there and that we're represented. I want to be a part of that. If it takes the Thursdays that we're not convening as a collective body, I want to represent us. I would like to see others here. When we came and took the oath and made the commitment to be a part of the Human Rights Commission, a segment of our sacrifice went along with that. I feel we owe it to the public to be there, to represent ourselves as human rights commissioners.
Okay, maybe I'm the one that's getting the mixed signals, because I don't think that that's the intent of it at all. I think the intent of the Palm Springs Police Advisory Committee is that we all get together and work together as one, and that they would know who you are, and what you stand for, because all at that same time, if you're not there, there will be literature there on the table, is my understanding.
Please don't misconstrue, Commissioner Bowens. I'm all for working in conjunction with other groups, other bodies. I don't want us to, however, get lost in the shuffle. That's my main focus. I, on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, want to be a part but be recognized still as the Human Rights Commission. I'm all for working in conjunction with the advisory committee. I have no problem with that.
This being one of the issues that is brought to us by the Community Relations Committee as part of the platform or for discussion that you have there, I think that we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves somewhat with some of the immense detail. All we need to know, do we want to go ahead with
That's-
discussion
That's
or
it.
not?
That's it, right there.
Yes.
That's all.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay? We want to go ahead with discussion with other
Yes.
groups? Fine.
That's all we want to
And all
know.
we need is that.
Do we
Okay.
have a motion on the table for that?
I
Formally,
make a
officially?
motion that
A
we go
motion-
ahead.
Motion by Commissioner Bowens
And
that
I
we
second the
continue
motion.
with discussion with the other groups. Seconded by Commissioner Boyd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those against? It's passed. The next thing is forum topics for this coming year. Is there anything that we need to discuss with that right now?
Well, I'm taxing my memory when I saw this on the agenda. We had talked about I seem to recall that we're not going to have another forum until after December. I think December is the celebration of human rights, and we only have one meeting in November. And I have been working with the AP classes at the high school and Junior Statesmen of America to see if the students would be interested in doing some topical issues. We are running out of the Bill of Rights.
Oh, we can't possibly be out of the Bill of Rights already, are we?
We're getting close.
We're getting close?
Yeah, you know.
Well,
You know, as someone said, the sexy ones, we've already done, and then, you know, housing of military and what's that one called, when you put the military here?
In your own house.
Yeah.
Quartering of troops, that's not gonna be a hot topic. But in any case, the students seem to be interested, and I would like to see at least one or two topics discussed and run by the student body, giving them a public forum.
I think that's a great idea to bring in the youth that way. And I know that Commissioner Feingold is talking about something with the hate crime area.
Hate speak.
So these are things that are on the agenda. Are there any other ideas that people might have that you want to put forward at this time? Because this is the time for ideas for this year as far as forum topics. Working with the students, working with the hate crimes, completing the series that Commissioner Aguano started last year on the Bill of Rights. Are there some other topics? And we need to be open to, as pointed out by the Community Relations Committee, to issues that come up, that we need to be able to address them as they come up too. So, but are there any other ideas, any other forms that the commissioners would like to throw into the hopper right now for potential use? Yes.
Yes, the media exposure of our position as Human Rights Commission.
As a forum topic?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you.
Our availability, our accessibility, and moving forward with that. What are our avenues of exposure in terms of television, radio,
Okay.
newspaper?
Okay, I see that more of a work of the Community Relations Committee, of working with the media, not per se as a forum that we would have on the media and the Human Rights Commission. I'm not quite sure where else that would be. Unless there is a forum that would be dedicated to the role of the media in the community at this time, and the role of the media in human relations issues. There may be a topic in that area.
I'm reminded of Carlos Cortez, who was our speaker at the May 6th event, talking about how the media teaches about diversity, and particularly, of course, at the May 6th event, relating it to the media reflections, interpretations, et cetera, on the September 11th tragedies. So, I mean, there certainly may be substance there that we could pursue in terms of the media's representation of diversity, the media's representation of the diversity in our own community in terms of how they present stories, the stories they select versus don't select. I'm not sure, you know, I'm looking to Joe now as our coordinator of the committee, if there's a way to kind of orchestrate that into an educational forum, as opposed to, for example, an attack on the media that you're not doing what we think you should be doing, but to put it in the context of information sharing and education.
We're back to freedom of the press.
A topic that I think we discussed or you wrote about that I really like is the changing, the Palm Springs is changing. And that can encompass a lot of things. You know, I mean, the whole population structure of Palm Springs is changing. And how do we all relate to each other? And obviously not too well right now. So that could be a forum topic, and you could put the media, you know, the subtopics could be the media, maybe hate speak, and all that could be, you know,
Thank
number
you for
one.
bringing that up again, because I do think that's something we need to address, because as the community changes from what was thought of as a part-time tourist to a full-time residential community, there are some pulls in various directions that I think we do need to address that would make a very good topic for a forum that we could work on very, very well.
And could include or lend itself to another forum about mediation, for example. A couple of years ago, the commission did a session on mediation and brought people from the Dispute Resolution Center across the street. But, you know,
Yeah.
particularly in these times where, you know, if we're not getting along all that well, what are the resources? And certainly mediation is a big one.
It was thought of at one point that a forum on the change in the community could be done in a mediation format. So to show how mediation could be used to resolve some conflicts, at the same time bringing up some of the issues to the forefront. I mean, there's all sorts of ways on that. But these are ideas then that we'll give to the Forum, Education and Forum Committee. Does that give you
Absolutely. I
some
have a
direction?
list, yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a general question? Are the forums scheduled for our regular meeting, our regular Thursday meeting that we have?
It's the fourth Thursday.
Okay.
It's typically a forum.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments on forums for this year? If not, we'll move on to the final subject. And in my absence, I had asked Commissioner Yo to be our representative to the Palm Springs Dance-a-thon. I don't know, Dorothy, if you were able to go to
No,
any of
I
that.
was not.
Again, in the email he sent, at the bottom of the email, he said it was canceled.
Oh,
That there was, had I known, I would have downloaded and brought it. I didn't know we were going to discuss it. I thought he would do that, but apparently, forgive me for not remembering everything, but Palm Springs Youth Center was taken over by a Palm Desert organization, and they.
I didn't know that.
That's what he wrote in his email.
I didn't
And then-
read it.
And then there was a flash at the bottom that it's been canceled.
well, we'll not discuss the matter then. We don't know exactly what's
Okay.
going on. We don't want to give out any misinformation to anyone
Forget
on
what I
that
just
issue.
said.
Okay?
Erase it.
Erase that. But we will get clarification on that for our September 26th meeting, have that there. Having nothing further on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. We stand adjourned at 7:57. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the open and frank discussion, and I'm very happy that we got some things that have been nagging at us off the docket. And so we'll move forward with the new ideas from the report from the Community Relations Committee and from the information that Commissioner Boyd wants to bring to us, and as always, the new Hate Crimes Commission and our forum. So thank you all very much, and good night.